Hot stuff, baby.
Hot stuff, that's it. I was trying to tip my tongue, and I just couldn't quite get it there.
Yeah.
6:47 as we get this pre-Friday edition of the Real Investment Show kind of wound up here. So, one of the hot trends to invest in probably over the course of the next couple of years is going to be weight loss. Article out this morning, the U.S. is already the most obese nation in the world. And thanks to Quarantine 15. Was that a typo?
The Quarantine 15?
Yeah.
No.
I know.
For some people, it's the Quarantine 30.
Exactly. The Quarantine 15 is that people were gaining on average about 15 pounds while they were in quarantine, right?
Taken from the college 15, the freshman 15.
The freshman 15, freshman 10, whatever it is. Of course, when you get to college, the first thing you do is just eat pizza every day.
Oh, yeah, because it's free.
For the most part, yeah.
The meal plan, it's free.
It's free because it's on the parents' credit card. Then the parents get the credit card. They go, whoa.
Sophomore year's much, much different.
Yeah, exactly. This is why my kids are being schooled right now, is that when you go to college, you will pay for it yourself, and you will not be using our credit card. So get ready. So according to the Obesity Research Clinical Practice, roughly 22% of Americans, this is based on a sample extrapolation, so they gained between 5 and 10 pounds since the coronavirus lockdowns. Within those who gained 5 to 10 pounds, there's a significantly higher percentage of the total sample who reported they actually increased eating in response to sight and smell, boredom, and stress. And that is kind of the problem, right? I mean, it's, you're at home all day and it's like, I'm bored, go downstairs, see what's in the pantry.
Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why, it's very important to try to, eat healthiness. But there has been another trend to this, though, is that millennials learn to cook. They actually, because, you couldn't go to a restaurant, right? Mm-hmm. So you had, if you're, younger and you've been, in this process of where your lifestyle is basically just go out and eat every day, all of a sudden they actually had to learn how to cook. And so cooking shows actually became pretty popular. People were watching cooking shows, learning how to cook things because you didn't have a choice. If you wanted to eat something decent, you had to learn how to cook, or you went to the store and bought Spam. Because canned meat sales apparently are going through the roof right now.
You think?
Which following this will be the problem with a surge in cardiac arrest from the sodium. So, and probably if you're eating a lot of Spam meat, you've probably gained 10 or 15 pounds. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about it. It's water retainage. Yeah. That's all it is. So,
but the cadavers will be well preserved.
Exactly. So, canned meat sales are going up. But GNC, we were talking about this earlier in the show, GNC filed for bankruptcy, which I don't really get. Because if you listen to this radio station, about every commercial break, there's an ad for some type of, text this number and we'll send you your free sample of this. It's going to make you more virile, stronger, healthier. Yeah. It's some pill from it, and it sells out like gangbusters at GNC. Okay, if it's selling out so great at GNC, why is GNC go bankrupt? So
it's those free bottles that they offer. That's what's doing it.
It could be the case. It could be all the free bottles.
So is GNC's bankruptcy a reorganization, or are they going to liquidate?
No, this is actually they are looking to sell. Yeah. So basically, this bankruptcy is a little bit different than others because a lot of times a company will go through bankruptcy. They just reorganize. Mm-hmm. They fix their debt problem. And the shareholders basically get wiped out. Creditors are converted to some degree. They get some dollar value on their debt. The remaining part of the debt is generally converted to new equity. And the company, they come out of bankruptcy, go back to work. Kind of much leaner structure coming out. In this case, it looks like, though, that GNC is going to file for bankruptcy and then either sell its stores, close a bunch. But GNC, as we know it, is likely not coming back. Which, for people speculating on GNC, there's your clue.
You think?
Yeah. When GNC sells, GNC stock will be worth zero. It will not be transferred to, in other words, when GNC sells their business, whatever's left of it after the bankruptcy, your GNC shares will not become part of Weight Watchers if they sell to Weight. I'm not saying they're going to sell to Weight Watchers. Don't go buy Weight Watchers because they're buying GNC. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be funny if it turned out to be the case? But the shares will just go to zero. They won't be worth anything down the road. And this is the same way with Hertz and all these other bankrupt companies. That's just the way bankruptcy works. But it is interesting because now we've got this kind of trend change in a younger generation. They learned how to cook. They're starting to shop more. And what they're realizing is hey, you know what? I'm actually saving money by this. And this has been a great thing for my household, right? Mm-hmm. We have been, eating at home a whole lot more, spending a whole lot less. And, we're just have been able to save, a lot more money. And we've got 4 kids, so we're constantly having to haul them around and do things and take them here and take them there. And that's all been locked down. So all of a sudden, we're saving a lot of money. We're like, hey, I hope this kind of quarantine thing doesn't end for a while because we're going to be financially really well off if we can keep this up for a while. But this is, and a lot of people are starting to realize this. And this is, they ran a poll a couple of days ago, and they asked Americans what their biggest financial regrets were. And we talked about the problem of the average American, not having, can't meet a $500 emergency, doesn't have any money in the bank, live paycheck to paycheck. We talked about all these things. And this was really kind of revealed by this poll. They said, what's your biggest financial regret going into the coronavirus? And the regret was primarily about 1/4 of the respondents were not having enough emergency savings, right? I didn't have enough money in the bank to, weather out a problem. And, this is the one thing we always talk about, which is that, as an individual, we need to make sure that we've got our financial preparedness together, just like we prepare for, potential hurricanes or we prepare for, potential events. We also have to prepare for the unexpected because job loss and economic downturns and all that, they're always unexpected. Everybody's like, well, nobody saw that coming. Nobody ever sees it coming, right? In 2007, we're going gangbusters. People are flipping houses that have no business flipping houses. Everything's awesome. There's no end in sight. And this is the new paradigm, right? 1999, we're buying .com companies that don't have any financial stability whatsoever, but hey, that's okay. It's all going to work out in the end. But, there's always the one thing that comes along that trips everything up. And, it's like you're running full steam ahead and all of a sudden somebody sticks their foot out and you're flat on your face. That's what happens every single time. So part of emergency savings is exactly that. It's emergency, right? When something goes wrong that you didn't expect. And, the reality is that as people have gotten into the situation, they didn't, even though they were getting government benefits, they had increased unemployment checks, they had direct checks to households, they still had to go tap 401k plans or other assets just to make ends meet because they didn't have a budget, they didn't have a financial plan at home, they didn't have these type of things that allow for a consistency in their living environment. And this is why, look, and these aren't complicated, but budgets are 4-letter words. Nobody wants to be told what they can and can't spend, right? Everybody hates that. When I, as an example, when I got married, I love my wife more than life itself, right? But she hates it. Do not tell my wife what she can and cannot spend. She's very frugal, but don't you mess with her household budget because that's her domain. So in order to make sure that, and she does a great job. She's very frugal. She really watches what she spends. She always stays within her budget the way she wants to do it, but don't tell her what to do, right? And she likes that control. So in order to have that control, we set up a specific account, we fund that account, and she can spend that account to zero every single month. And I deal with all this. My job, save money. I save and invest. That's my job in the household. Her job is to make sure the household runs. That's just the way we did it, right? That may not work for anybody else. That was just the way we did it. And, for people in general, and especially when you're married, the biggest problem is getting 2 people on the same page of any type of budget or savings plan and making sure the household is functioning and that you're actually, saving money and preparing for these other things. Most of the time it's one person is doing one thing or doing like everything and the other person, really isn't involved. And I see this a lot when I meet with clients. And this goes both ways, mind you. The husband and wife will come in. The wife says, "Hey, Jim handles everything. I don't even know what's going on. Jim handles it. I don't like it." Same, I've had the exact opposite. The wife comes in, she goes, I handle everything. Bob knows nothing. So Bob plays golf every day. I do this. That's okay. However it works. But the problem is that both people have to be on the same page. And, if you have one person that's doing all the spending and one person that's trying to do the savings, that's the majority of Americans, by the way. That's the majority of couples and relationships. And the reason that's true is because Dave Ramsey has like 100 million people that follow him because they're broke. Right? Dave Ramsey is a genius. He sells products to broke people, and there's about 80% of the population that is absolutely broke. I'm over here trying to manage money for 2% of the population. Who's got a bigger audience? Dave does, right? I missed that trade. But that's the reality of the situation, right? Credit card debt, student loan debt, auto debt, home debt, mortgage debt. We're told we have to have these things. You have to have a nice car. You have to own a house. You have to do. No, you don't. You don't. There's nothing that says that you have to pay for your kids to go to college. There's nothing that says that your kids have to go to college, right? There's other alternatives. We've been ingrained in this belief by the media and by advertising and by commercials and by stereotypes and by society and all these things. Those decisions are all up to you and how you approach it and what's important to you. If you tune out the commercialism of the economy and focus upon the finance, you're going to discover that there's a whole different way to approach the way that you live and save and earn and grow and build wealth, and everybody can do it. It's just a function of choosing to do so. But, we'll see. But one thing I do think is going to happen coming out of this coronavirus is I think we are going to see a change. Just like we saw coming out of the Great Depression, saw a change in attitudes about savings and investing. You're going to see the same thing coming out of this as well as the world gets back on its feet. Okay, wraps up the show for today. RealInvestmentAdvice.com. Our latest articles are out. Blog posts. Our articles on MMT will be out next week as well. So make sure you go by the website, RealInvestmentAdvice.com. Also, check out our latest podcast with Jim Muscura on the website now, on our YouTube channel, RealInvestmentAdvice.com. Stick around. Chris Salcedo's coming right up.
It's a rich man's world.